two goddesses, one from ancient Sumer and one from ancient Greece. Inanna, queen of heaven, descends by choice into the underworld. Persephone, maiden of spring, is pulled down by force. Or was she? Some ancient records seem to paint Persephone as going into the underworld by choice. Both emerge transformed, one through death and resurrection, and the other through the cycles of the season. Today, let's explore the similarities and differences between Inanna and Persephone and the cultural symbols that made their stories so powerful. Join me on a journey through time and space. Inanna, the goddess of heaven of the Mesopotamian pantheon, chooses to go down into the underworld, possibly to expand her power, or to attend the funeral of her very sister who lives in the underworld. Her descent is self-initiated. It is a trial. Persephone is depicted being dragged underground by Hades while picking flowers. This is a sudden loss of innocence. However, there are other versions where she knowingly eats seeds from the underworld and passes on to the land of death with free will. Inanna's descent was an initiation, a sacrifice for her sister and of her life. Persephone's descent was a change, a separation from her mother, the goddess of the harvest, to leave and come back again every year. Both mark the shift from youth into a deeper feminine power. Inanna passes through the seven gates, removing items of power. First her crown, her authority, then her necklace, her status. Next her breastplate, her heart and her will. Next her breast pins, her beauty. Then she gives up her belt of lapis lazuli, her fertility. And next her bracelets, which are her strength. And finally her royal robe, her identity, her ego. She enters the underworld naked. This is a total surrender. Mesopotamian rites emphasized humility before the gods and stripping the ego to reach spiritual truth. However, Persephone eats the pomegranate seeds, binding her to the underworld. The red juice of the pomegranate is the blood. The womb, it is fertility. The seeds are the life force, the cycle of regeneration. Eating food in the underworld meant accepting its laws. The seeds made her a bridge between life and death. Inanna literally dies, her corpse hung on a hook until she's revived by magical beings with the water of life. Persephone symbolically dies each year, disappearing below and returning to bring back spring. Inanna's myth is about personal ego death and resurrection. Persephone is all about the cyclical death of nature each year. Inanna enters the underworld to attend the funeral of her very sister, the queen of the dead. On return, Inanna is stronger, but she must send her lover into the underworld in her place. Therefore, her personal sovereignty is reaffirmed. Persephone starts as a maiden, but returns to Earth as queen of the underworld, sharing power with her husband Hades. In a way, she has gained maturity through loss, maturity through presence in both the living realm and the death realm. Both goddesses gain dual roles of heaven and the underworld, of both maiden and queen. The grief that Inanna has belongs to her sister, who wails in agony while Inanna hangs dead. Her mourning reflects the sorrow of death itself. Persephone's grief belongs to her mother, Demeter. Her mourning causes famine and her joy brings harvest. Both myths tie fertility of the land to divine sorrow. But where Inanna's is cosmic power, Persephone's is agricultural. Reflected in the Mesopotamian lamentation hymns, the goddess Inanna was worshipped through initiations by temple priestesses and fertility rites. Likely, this tied to lunar cycles and seasonal planting, symbolic reenactments of her descent and her return. In Persephone's case, she was often worshipped through the Eleusinian mysteries. In Greece, this involved 9 days of fasting, torch-lit possessions and processions, drinking of a barley-based beer known as kykion, and secret rituals promising initiates a vision of life after death. Persephone was celebrated in women's festivals. These festivals would offer piglets and phallic symbols to fertilize the soil, a ritual echo of Persephone's time on earth. Inanna's crown symbolized heavenly authority, stripped away to reveal the raw self. Inanna's lapis lazuli belt symbolized fertility, abundance, and cosmic connection. Persephone's pomegranate was the symbol of the womb, of blood, of eternal return, and eternal life. Both myths use organic, bodily, fertile symbols to link feminine power with the cycle of death and life. Inanna shows us the power of choosing descent, of surrendering everything to find rebirth. Persephone shows us that even when descent is forced upon us, transformation follows. Both goddesses reveal the sacred truth. To embody the cycles of life, we must descend, die in some way, and return renewed. The crown, the robe, the pomegranate seed, these aren't just symbols. They are the living metaphors of our own journeys through loss, grief, and regeneration. They are living metaphors of the journey of the soul through time and space. Are these, in fact, different stories? Or are they the same story told through another culture and through another time? If you would like to know more, tune in to the full episode on my podcast.